to Nature's Neighbor. I am your host, Melanie Blankenship. I will be joined with my co-host, Mr. Josh Carmichael, but he'll be flying in here hot in about a couple minutes. But we are a live show. We're doing this, so we are starting off the new year with a half of a co-host. You know, I always have Miguel here producing the show with us, so I always have backup. But, you know, Josh is supposed to be my expert and sidekick. So, you know, he's going to be coming in here. But guess what? We are live on Instagram, Facebook, but also YouTube. You can also now chat in with us on YouTube. You have questions, you have comments, you have concerns, you have topics that you want us to address. Go to YouTube, search in your search bar on YouTube. You don't have to have an account. You can just go to YouTube. In that search bar, type in Nature's with an apostrophe S, Neighbor. And we should pop right up. You should see us there. I also, do subscribe if you would like. Then we can actually have this conversation and share it broadcasting when we do our live shows every Monday. I'm getting people that are texting me on my private phone. Don't stop. If that's convenient and more, easier for you, don't stop. Obviously, I'm going to share what you and I have discussed. But at the same time, you can always message us through any of our social media platforms. We are on Spotify. We're on Apple Podcast. And then obviously all the platforms that all of those are linked with. So, okay, enough about business. Speaking of business, guess who's walking in hot? Here he comes. It is sprinkling outside, so I will give him the rainy day schedule. He might be a little late, but he's on the phone. So, this is who we are also. Both of us are small business owners, trying to do this. We are, both years of experience in the businesses that we are in. Josh had a battery issue on a vehicle, and Josh, I have to tell you, that was my last 2 weeks. If it wasn't my mother-in-law's car or my husband's truck or my daughter's car, like there was something. There
or
was
my trailer or my tractor. It's been a roundabout lately. With the rain, it really adds always something more fun.
The rain brings prosperity, Josh. So just know it's coming, buddy.
It's raining and pouring.
Yeah,
for sure.
I told you it was raining. You didn't believe me. It's still raining. And again, how can we not start the 2026 year off without talking about the weather? Because, dude, we got a lot of topics on the weather.
We got all our weather in the last week or two here, for sure.
I mean, how come we're not talking about this? Like, how come this is not blasted all over every media?
How heavy the runoff's been? It's been really record kind of setting in ways where it's just quietly,
look at our
really
reservoirs.
dumping.
Look at our water tables. The Salinas is back to back, like bank to bank, running right now. Like,
all the creeks look pretty full.
This is January. This is early, and this is exciting because we've had these storms that are, consistent. And it's like, I'll be honest with you, I'm a California spoiled girl. I walk out and go in my flip-flops going,
like your sunny days.
Man, it's still raining. And how can I act like that when we've had 15 years of drought? I mean, I feel stupid, honestly, when I act like that. But at the same time, I'm like, I want to be in my shorts and flip-flops. Yeah. But how can I complain when... I'm just going to share a little bit, but New Year's Day, it's a New Year's night with really good friends on the coast.
Yeah.
Went home, did chores, got up really early. Of course, we had to bring in the new year, right? We started with Abu Dhabi, and then we did every New Year, right? So every hour from Abu Dhabi, we did every hour bringing the new year in. So with that, then 12 o'clock came and I was beat. I couldn't do any more New Year's. I didn't want to do Hawaii's or, all those. So we went home and came back to Cayucas because we did the polar bear plunge, where we jump into that cold water in Cayucas and wash all last year's crazy away and get ready
for the new year, huh?
Yes. And so I have to tell you, I am not a cold weather person. I hate the cold. I was so excited though, because we drive into our friend's driveway and who live over there. And literally it was torrential downpouring down our old creek road. It was crazy. And I'm like, I'm not going to the water. It's too cold. I don't like to be wet. And the kids were picking on me. And I'm like, we drive in their driveway. It stops raining. The clouds part. And it got to 72 degrees. on New Year's Day in Cayucas, in San Luis Obispo County.
Welcome to the beach life.
Oh my God. It was so beautiful. But then I said I wasn't going to get wet past my hips because I'm like, I don't like to be cold. I don't like to be cold. I love to look at our oceans. I'm not too thrilled about going in them because they're still too cold for me. I'm the 80-degree ocean weather type, okay? I'm just going to say, closer to the equator. But I could not believe how warm the water felt.
Yeah.
I'm like, and everybody was talking about it. Like, we were all like standing there going, there's some people that this was their like 15th year of doing this. And they were saying that it's never been this warm. And then I'm like, they're saying the water temperatures are cooler. But I think it's because of the storms from the south coming in, bringing in warmer channels.
Yeah, it could be. I didn't look at water temp a lot lately.
I haven't either, but it was actually not cold. It wasn't warm, but it wasn't cold. So again, that's how my New Year started. So no matter what crazy has continued to happen, I'm going to go back every day of this year and remind myself of, what am I worried about? There are days that the clouds part and the sun does come out.
Yeah.
And we had an amazing New Year's doing that, laughing. I mean, I'll be honest with you, I don't even know who these people were, but we had so much fun with so many different strangers. Everybody was in such good spirits.
Yeah,
and
that's a good event for sure.
Oh my gosh. And I cannot tell you how funny our costumes were, everybody else's costumes were. And again, I am not, no matter what this year brings, because already what are we, day 5? This has been a crazy year. We're going to talk a lot about the rain. We're going to talk about some new regulations that came on board on the 1st, and how come people aren't talking about it, because it's like, so it's okay for the state of California to poison us and it's all good, like no big deal, right? Like we're just going to add this to and make it a requirement, because why? Why is it okay to poison our food and call it a law and say it's mandated, you have to make tortillas with folic acid in it now? Like, in all these years, all of us Mexicans have been living with tortillas without no folic acid, and we're just fine. Could that not be categorized more as a categorized attack on a certain ethnic group? Because you and I are different, but how many other people, like, I'll tell you a story. My husband marries into, he was a boyfriend, Clint, at the time, before we were married. He would go to my grandma's house, he'd go to our house, and he loved our food, right? He's a big football boy, and there's nothing better than my grandma and my mom making, football boy, huge Mexican dinners, right?
Yeah.
Well, he kept asking, do you guys use utensils? And I'm like, what are you talking about? He goes, how come everything is served with the tortilla? And I'm like, because, the fork is there, but we don't really need it when you got a tortilla. You don't eat anything without a tortilla, right? And he goes, one breakfast morning, he comes over to my house. We're in high school. He goes, is there ever toast here? Or is everything with the tortilla? I'm like, dude, there's nothing better than a butter tortilla. Let's go. So this is what I'm saying. Like, we have grown up with non-folic acid tortillas. And now it's mandated in the state of California that all tortillas have this ingredient in it. And to understand the type of ingredient that they're mandating on us is toxic, and it should not be allowed.
Yeah, I know the body can't really process it.
No.
And it's something they've done to bread for like 50 years now. And so it is really sad that they saw this opportunity, like you said, to target a really big population that uses tortillas. That's something, I had tortillas for breakfast. I have that a lot. My tia Maria made me a really nice, costillas and chili verde today. And so it just is like, something like you said, you can't really even rely on your roots or your culture to not be affected by, I wouldn't even just call it capitalism. It really goes beyond these kinds of things that people are trying to do. Is just, any kind of, illness you want to label it, whether it's greed or there's just something there that they think they can get away with.
I'm gonna go back on that word greed, because we need to, to be honest with you, like you and I together cannot define what the word greed really means. But at the end of the day, again, like, why aren't people outraged about
It's
that
corrupt.
this man-
It's definitely
It's
corrupt.
corrupt, but at the same time, why are people not paying attention? Because it's convenience. It's like out of sight, out of mind, right? Like, but the biggest frustration to me is by the time people realize that this has happened, people are going to be sick, right?
Yeah.
There's going to be different types of cancers, or there's going to be a new food trend, right? There's going to be the, anti-tortilla, or no tortilla recipes anymore, right? Because they can't eat it. Just like there's no gluten-free, there's no fat, there's no, peanut butter, there's no, all of these things that have
poison lots
happened
of-
to our food.
Yeah.
And I'm saying this because I do everything I can to make sure that I don't have to eat out of a package or eat from an unknown source. I'm not saying that everybody should live like me because it's not easy. Like, we made a pact that in January, because we're going on a big trip, right? In January, we're not eating out. Like, I'm going to support some friends by giving them product at restaurants, but I'm not going to go there and have food served to me. We're not going to have any food that is outside of our home. Okay, we made a pact because we have been farming a lot. We've been harvesting a lot. We have a good supply of really good food at home. So every meal has to be made at home. Okay,
Yeah.
That's the month of January. Okay, nothing from
It's
the
an
outside.
abundant time of year. I mean, Cayucas, New Year's Day, we were out there on the reefs. We brought all the kids out, and we were getting, fish and eel and mussels, and so we had a big chipino pot going, and
So pretty.
we had some local made bread. So I mean, we did pretty good with knowing where our ingredients were, and the
We don't
kids love
have
the
to.
mussels the best of
We don't
everything.
have to,
so.
but at the same time, so we're doing that, okay?
Yeah.
To save money,
There's
to
little
get
mushrooms
healthy.
out there right now. Yeah,
Oh
there's
my
a
God.
lot you can pull.
Talk about mushrooms.
The greens come up. I just seeded all our beds with winter greens and all the good stuff. So
I'll be honest with
It's a
you,
good
I feel
year,
bad
part of the
because
year.
I didn't bring any, but chanterelles are coming out of my ears
I
right now.
bet.
Like, it is insane how awesome the chanterelle growth is. And
The
it's because-
soaking rains
because
really
it's so
help them.
warm. It's
Yeah.
warm and it's
yeah,
wet.
it's exactly
And it's like
warm and wet. That is
we could
where
not
they
ask
love
for
it.
anything more on that. But at the same time, so this whole concept is we eat this way. I'm going to feed a family of 5 this way. And we're going to know every ingredient because we harvested olive oil in November. We have honey. I have
meat, yeah.
sourdough starter coming out of my ears. I got that
Yeah.
too. So if you want to start making your own sourdough,
I got our starter
I
going.
have a whole wheat rye sourdough starter. I have a French that's like 255 years old. I have a gluten-free starter. Like, my kitchen looks like a chemistry lab, but at the same time, like, this is what I'm doing because, and by the way, if you guys need sourdough starter, you want recipes, it is so easy to make sourdough bread, sourdough tortillas,
Well, and
sourdough everything.
Think about how much better that is for you than the bread that's holding the folic acid and all these other things,
Well, that's
and-
what I'm trying to, that's where
Yeah.
I was going, because why did I start my sourdough starters back up? Why am I adding more to my plate that is kind of full already? Is because when I saw that bill get passed and saw how quickly it was going to get implemented into state regulation, I was like, whoa, how did that just happen? Like, when did we pass regulation and implement it that fast? And then I started reading through it going, why are we doing this? And it was literally the only discussion that I could really find of how and why it was because that the percentages of, I'm just going to say it because it says CenCal based recipients. So anybody that's on the state funded healthcare system, that they're coming in supposedly lacking a certain nourishment. But it doesn't say what. Then it said how to target this ethnicity group was to require what they eat abundantly by putting this chemical in and hoping that overall they could capture the supposedly malnourishment of this ethnic group, right?
Yeah.
That was the only discussion online that we could, because I couldn't sit in those offices.
Wow.
That is the only thing I could find. That when I was doing my research, like why?
Slick,
why
yeah.
would, was it because we needed a longer shelf life? Was it because,
Somebody's
it's-
holding this chemical.
did somebody get sick? Did we have to make sure that certain types of pathogens didn't grow? Like, why? And all the discussion was a malnourishment of a certain ethnical group that was based upon free healthcare research, right? So to me, that was, and again, I said it because that's what it said, was affordable healthcare research. But at the same time, how's that affordable when, they're studying you instead of, helping you take better care of yourself, right?
Yeah.
But at the same time, that's the only research that I could find. And then all of a sudden it was like mandated. You make tortillas for sale, you're required to put these ingredients into these.
Oh, so it's going to affect every tortilla manufacturer. So all of our local
Who's local anymore?
Well, in Santa Maria, they make a lot of tortillas
minimal,
and stuff.
Minimal. But yeah, none of them, is there any wholesale ones? I don't know if there's any wholesale ones or if there's any
all the
ones
markets, they sell all the stacks of calientitas and all the...
So it's sounding like any tortilla. If you read the regulation, I showed you the regulation. You read the regulation, it's any tortilla sold in the state of California. And the sad thing is yes, there's these exemptions, but at the same time, to how long do we get these exemptions? There's nothing written in those exemptions to what is allowed. And
It'll be interesting, like you said, to see what comes from that. I'm sure it's not going to necessarily be health, and having to kind of go back to that foundation, like we always talk about, of accountability. Like, how do we start to get better sourcing for our foodstuffs? It's going to be harder and harder to buy stuff.
And the sad thing is why I say, okay, so I stay out of the grocery store, right? It's not, to me, I am not anti-grocery store, okay?
Yeah.
I want to clarify that very much so. I am anti-grocery store manufacturing association, I will say that. But at the same time, I'm also it's not the grocery store's fault of why they have products on the shelf that have all this stuff.
They're the middleman.
They're the middleman. They're the ones that are mandated to sell the product that has this stuff in it.
Yeah.
Working at Crescent Valley Meats, every Wednesday we have our USDA meetings. We have different, directives and things that come in every week that once you were doing it this way, well, now you got to do it this way. Well, why? Well, because one person or, one company did something wrong. So therefore, everyone, the umbrella of everything has to. But then I leave that establishment and I come to my retail location and or, do this, or I'm consulting. And what do I hear from people? They don't want government in their food. They want to be able to know where it's coming from. They want to be able to buy a label and think that it's, what it says it is. And not a single person that I know knows how to read a label. Yeah. When I'm like, okay, can you read those 5 ingredients that are in there right now? Read to me what they're, only how do you pronounce that? I get that all the time.
Yeah.
And I'm like, you realize what that is? I'm like, that's red seaweed. That eats the lining of your stomach. Carrageenan. That eats the lining of your stomach. I remember when that got passed years ago. And then to watch babies that have been consuming packaged goods with that in it and watching their digestive tracts not work the way that they are supposed to work. Meaning, things that you eat should not make a belly distended. A child should not be constipated for more than 5 days. There's so much to this that I'm like, wait a minute. I mean, there's vaccines, there's, all these food additives, right? But you really start looking at when food additives or food trends or when regulation changes, and you quickly start to see when it was implemented to then what starts happening in society. And then how do you not go, how is it not that?
Yeah.
How is it not
how
the
do we not
additives
gather around that moment and say, we don't want this in our food, and so if we stop shopping or buying, that's where you get most of your clout, as the masses, is being able to, consume, what you want is to put your money where you want it to go where you don't want it to go.
But then let's go back too, okay? Just like we talked about all the other tortilla places, that are out there making it. Okay. When do we become as a society where we are supporting our friends in a balance, but at the same time, we are taking more responsibility at home for what we are doing? And why I say that is because you realize the moment you do anything in this state, let alone this country, for anything for sale, it is required a permit. It is required insurance. It is required, infrastructure. It is required something.
Inspection, yeah.
Yes. Whether it be a commercial licensed kitchen, a cottage licensed kitchen, then we talk about
USDA.
California. Yeah. If you get into eggs, meat, and poultry, you have to have USDA,
Yeah.
so that's a whole
Dairy.
other level. Yeah. That's the California Dairy Department, and then it's everything. There is not one thing that you can make that you can then get $1 for, because remember, under the state of California, recognize of $1, you're in business for yourself. $1 for anything, even if it's to your neighbor. You barter and trade is recognized under the IRS, Internal Revenue Service. So you got to have a value to value, right? This is how, but barter and trade is still considered an income. So any of that requires all of these things to do. So this is where I'm saying the regulation states, if you make tortillas for sale, you are required to have these ingredients put in them. So can I find exemptions? I'm always looking for an exemption somewhere for everything I do. But at the same time, it's not easy to find. And it clearly defines you're not grandfathered in. So what I'm saying, I'm using this as an example because there's so much to this. How many people know how to make tortillas?
Yeah, only if their grandma or mama taught them,
But
really.
it's like, why? It is flour and a fat-based oil. So, well, you don't need a guess. We're going to make it, and we're going to do it.
Yeah, we talked about
we're gonna
doing
make
a
it, but I'm going
tortilla
to give
class.
everybody a recipe. So I'm a flour tortilla. I'm a more northern Mexican, okay? I like my flour tortillas, okay? Corn tortillas is for tacos.
It's pretty easy, too.
You gotta deep fry those in olive oil, okay? That's, to me, that's when I define my favorite tortilla. It is a wheat flour tortilla, okay? Not a corn tortilla, but I do.
Sonora style is more flour, yeah.
Northern Mexico, okay?
Yeah.
So, but my corn tortillas, I mean, you can't make a crunchy taco without a corn taco, right? Like that's just.
No, you got to have,
Okay.
your masa for
But-
something.
So flour, which is an all-purpose, unbleached, unfortified flour, okay? I am spoiled and also very about my butter, okay? I've always said I'm going to lose weight, I'm going to kick dairy. Just not butter, milk, cream, and ice cream, okay? Okay, and yogurt. I need yogurt once in a while. Okay, so melting butter in the flour, a little bit of sea salt, not
a little
table
bit of fat
salt.
with
Get
the
rid of
salt.
that. That can kill weeds though. But a little bit of sea salt. I've been doing a little bit of cornstarch just to kind of get that little bit more firmness. Yeah. Instead of it being
pliability.
soft,
Yeah.
and then guess what? Then that's when your kids come to work. I'm the pincher, and I put all my pinches out, and then my kids
roll
come
them?
by and they roll them.
Nice.
But then they're spoiled.
Teamwork.
They're spoiled too because they have a tortilla press.
Yeah.
A cast iron tortilla press,
Yeah, that's what we
spoiled
usually make
brats.
ours. We do empanadas a lot with the masa.
I still have
And-
my little brown roller, and all of us Mexicans will know what a little brown roller is because my grandma, it was my great grandma's,
Yeah.
Josefina, it was hers, and look at me, I even got the wrist flex, so, that was, when I was a little girl,
Cedro Matate, and you're
that
there.
was our responsibility, was cracking nuts and rolling tortillas.
Yeah.
We would crack the shells, we'd sit out there with the hand cranker and crack our nuts. My problem is my grandparents learned quickly to not have me do that too often because I ate more than I cracked. So, that was, but that's a tortilla. So you roll out the dough, put a little flour there so it doesn't stick to your dough and heat it. And just flip and heat. Our tortilla press is awesome because it does it all, right?
Yeah.
You get your measurements right, you'll smash it
get your ball
quickly,
size
and then
right, yeah.
and then it's heated on both sides, so it's going to cook it and smash it at the same time.
Oh, snap.
So that's why we don't buy tortillas.
That's like Tortilla Town has one like that.
Yeah, but I mean those cast iron, Hewitt's I think can get you. It's your iron. What's a cast iron company?
Kamal, yeah.
whatever.
Lodge or something like
Yeah,
that.
Lodge. You can just, and they're not
I'm
expensive.
sure there's some in this building
I'm
with
sure
the
so.
vintage
You could
stuff.
probably find you some vintage
Yeah, that's
cast
usually
iron.
buy all my cast iron vintage,
Yeah, and you
which
can
is
you
great.
can cook it on electric stoves or you can
Yeah.
cook it on gas stoves.
Yeah, just
you can
add
do it
heat
all.
and they turn into something magic for sure.
Okay, but the problem is that when you make them with butter, you have to just really discipline yourself. And you got to say, I am not going to eat a dozen tortillas while I'm making them, because it is so bad how good they are.
Yeah, it is.
Well,
that's the thing. Homemade's always better. And now homemade's that much more healthy or that much better for you. So again, that's the full accountability. If you can really get things back to that source where, and it's not just doing things, yourself or in a vacuum. It has to bring people together and many hands. And that's something that, we've talked about so much too, is that we need community. We need each other. And so doing these tasks and these chores again, it's what we need is to have that time together, whether it's just the kids at home or friends or whoever you're teaching.
Regulation doesn't affect when you can come over and we'll make tortillas together.
Yeah.
Right? You take some, I keep some.
Yeah.
But what happened to that? Like, we are so disconnected from that.
I was going to say, we're very far away from that moment where people are like, oh, do I just buy stacks of tortillas or do we, do this?
I do want a side note. So I don't know if you guys saw the pictures that I sent you. So Spotify does that overall a year in a review, and it shows that we've had people from Turkey and Japan and other countries that tune into us.
Oh, okay.
Okay. Well, I'm going to be honest with you. There's a lady that is in Tokyo right now that tunes into us.
Oh, nice.
As often as she can, or goes back and listens to ours. And what stimulated her to come to our show, she's going to love that I'm talking about her right now, because she reached out to me a couple weeks ago, and then she says, I'm from Japan. And then I laugh because in Spotify says, there's people from Japan listening to us. Well, the funny thing is she said that what stimulated her to listen to us more, or to, seek me out, was the fact of how much I promoted that I can do it by myself, but I don't want to do it by myself.
Great.
And she goes, every day I walked in, and she's been a customer of mine for a long time. I consulted a project. She walks into a skyrise apartment building of thousands of people that live within this one system.
Tokyo's big. Yeah, I've been there.
And, we talked about years ago how little of a facility they need to grow simple foods to have a food security. And now they still have their little fresh farmer's market in the lobby of their apartment complex. But she said, then I stopped for a little while and then came back, and she said, Billy, you're still sharing the same message. And it's like, I am, but you're across the world. How do I, and she goes, it's crazy with all the people that we have here. There are a few of us loyalties, but there's a lot that are in and out that, I don't want to worry about that. I just want to buy. But then when they don't feel good, guess who they all want to come to? And I'm like, that's exactly how I feel. It's like, when the government shows its rigor head, or we have a food recall, or people are getting sick, they really think
wonder
about
how could they get around this, and it's.
But at what level
from.
do we stop and say, I don't want to be sick anymore?
Yeah.
At what level do we stop and go, I don't want to be so much controlled,
when is enough
categorized, manipulated? And it's not that we have to be as crazy as our system is right now. Like, we don't just stop. And you know what I mean? It's start making changes. Start looking at things differently. Start looking within. Don't look out. Look within. How do you simplify your life? Do you really need that? And the thing is, it's like not anti-grocery store, because people really have to have it, because we have created a system that there isn't that much choices anymore. And we are losing choices more and more every day. Mm-hmm. And that's where I'm saying, are we going to keep still going down that rabbit hole? Or are we going to stop it and start taking responsibility for our own and then growing from there? Because that's what we need to really put it back out there. Yes, I've been writing. You see my writings. I, have been frustrated and also been in the car as a passenger for a while. And I get a lot done in the passenger seat of a vehicle. And I start putting out my thoughts and notes, and then I put it back together into a story that is literally everything that I am thinking about. And so on Nature's Touch Nursery and Harvest .store, and I'll put it on Nature's Neighbor here pretty soon. I created a blog space that says, what is on Melanie's mind. So every topic that I have written about in the last 2 weeks, I wrote about it specifically in what I was dealing with as a farmer, as a mother, as a farmer, as a business person, as a neighbor. Every bit of that is something that I had to deal with in those topics. Everything from the generational gap to the harvest of conflict. These are the titles of my blogs that I wrote. To the fields used to not be quiet. And the reason why I said that fields would not be quiet is, I'm just going to say, back in the early 80s, late 70s, my great uncle, not uncle, great uncle, I think was great uncle, or he's my grandma's brother, I think. So uncle, right? No, he was great uncles, okay? So he was what we would call today as a coyote, right? He would go and get Mexicans because he couldn't get Americans to go plant. He couldn't get, like, he would put it out there. Even then, he would put it out there. And I will never forget, as a little girl, every single one of them had their paperwork. They had a green card, right? They had a green card. And they would get in the vans in Mexico, and they would drive them. Everybody checked their paperwork. And then my Uncle Cuco would drive them here.
Work for the season,
and he would drive them home, okay? Well, the craziness about all of this is, what do I remember as a little girl? I was born in 1975, so I'm just going to put it out there. So I was little. Is I will never forget, here these people came, but I will never forget the parties.
Yeah, the singing and the music.
The food.
Yeah.
And everybody that would come in, the pigs and everybody brought. And they were all here to work. Everybody was happy. There wasn't drama. Everybody knew what they needed to do, right? And then they would go back. We have vineyards, orchards, and ranches to this day because of those people that came and worked, right? But fast forward to today, we have no sense of community. Most vineyard people, most
vineyard teams,
most people that work in the fields don't talk to each other. There's a lot. It was a party when they came to work. Everybody made dinners for each other. Everybody made sure everybody had food, and made sure they had everything they needed to go to work, right? It wasn't the demand of, you're getting paid this, so you better get this done and then done. There's a lot of that to it. But the biggest thing in all of this that I will always remember is the fact that when my Uncle Cuco died I'll never forget when my grandma told me, because he used to always come and have breakfast on Sundays at my grandma and grandpa's house, and he would sit on the couch, and my grandpa was a 49er fan, and we had to have 49er or Giants baseball on TV. And so he was, yes, Giants are better than Dodgers.
Not lately, but hey, go ahead.
He was such an amazing human being because he worked his butt off, but he always had time, right, for family. But then we all would get together, and when he passed away, I will never forget the parking lot and the church at St. Rose and how many people showed up to honor him, to say their farewells to him for the opportunity that he had given them. And that right there to me is like, we don't see that anymore.
Yeah, it's a wealth that isn't measured as easily.
And I know children of his that were a part of, like, it's not that generation that worked with him, but the children of, their parents that worked with my uncle, like, they still talk about when they were little. You know what I mean? And I'm like, but what happened? Why did it change? Why did we allow it to change? So that blog, The Fields Used to Not Be Quiet, that's where that came from. But then it also came from the generational gap. The generational gap is, so we have a huge epidemic happening now. We have 70-plus-year-olds that are getting ready to be done with their land, and there is nobody coming up behind them. Yeah. But there is also, we've had the last 10 years, 15 years of farms being closed down, sold, because the kids don't want to carry it on, or the family trust.
Better money selling it.
The family trust wasn't written properly, right? It went to all the kids, and then the kids couldn't agree, so they had to sell it off, right? So, we have all of that going on, but the problem is too that generational gap, right? So where do we carry the next generation. We can't afford this huge gap of these 70-plus-year-olds, because this is what I'm saying. We're seeing the pattern already happen, right? We're seeing the farms go away. But there is a huge population of farms right now that we will go without, all of us, if we don't find a way to lessen the generational gap.
Yeah.
Because then we have the techers, the tech kids, that are telling the olders they can't do it that way anymore. Then we have the olders don't understand how to use an iPhone, right? Miguel had to show me how to use my own iPad today. So I'm just going to say I might be one of those.
It only gets worse from here.
Oh, and my kids Clint and I are sharing contacts today. And he keeps calling Cody and he's like, Dad, just wait. Let me get home. Let me show you what button you have to push. And I'm like, why are we sharing contacts? Like, what is this? So, but like, this is what we are dealing with. And again, these are huge topics.
Well, all of our trades too. I mean, just all of the guys, everyone who works with their hands, it's like plumbers,
landscapers,
contractors, right? Everyone's average age is like 60 something, like same with farming, that, there's a huge vacuum there that somehow we think that we're going to be able to continue this pyramid of building up with higher technology when we have a crumbling foundation of the basics. And I think that's where, we talk about it over and over again in all these capacities, and really it needs to be in everyone's hands. That's the only way to hold it, and that's the village way where, the grandmas and the grandkids and everyone in between gets to be part of the process. The other day it was so fun. We went to the beach, me and one of the uncles, got all the mussels, brought it back for dinner. And then, the kids, got to help do some of the dinner. My mom was cooking everybody. It just it takes a village.
Isn't that awesome? I love those feelings.
And everyone, these kids didn't even know they liked mussels before that night. They didn't remember. My kids knew. They loved it. They're looking forward to it. And, it's just that treat of this time of year too. We've been waiting for it to become, kind of available again and abundant. And so it's safe to eat. So it just is really, so much more is baked into our communities and our resiliency when we are able to pass these things on and share these things across our generations. And without that, I don't know where we are going to be.
Yeah.
I don't know what's next. And all I know is that we're passing on to the ones that we have right now. And hopefully, they're going to remember enough to
And the thing is there is the argument that I've had with a couple people that have responded to, they don't want to know, right? There's that attitude of, oh, well, we've gotten this far, haven't we? There's that attitude, right? There's also the attitude of, back in the 30s, 40s, 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s, we've always had a fear, right? We've always had. But the difference in what we've had, we have not, those generations were never centralized.
Yeah.
We have centralized ourselves.
Yeah, the scarcity is really built up huge.
Yes.
There's more of a reason to fear now than before. It was fringe people maybe, fearing.
There was resources to be able to step outside of, this, our county, San Luis Obispo County has always been that it swells and then shrinks. It swells and shrinks with population. Why? In the booming economies, we, swell because we have people that have made fortunes in LA or San Francisco or, elsewhere, and they move to this area because they have wealth from somewhere else.
Well, they want to live the good life. They're I want to eat mussels from the beach. I want to go walk,
And they want,
where it's smog free.
They want the simple life, right? Instead of creating it where they made their fortune, they want to make it, they want to live simple somewhere else. But the thing is to also understand, it's then it shrinks. The economy changes, and then all of a sudden we have this mass deportation and mass exodus, right, of this county, and you're starting to see it now, right? Yeah. But the biggest thing that I'm noticing more now is the ranches, the farms, those are really changing. Not, the in and outs of things. Yes, most of these lands, the larger lands are owned by trust now, or, and the people that say that they're their property, they're being funded by some nonprofit or, some ability to stay there, right? Mm-hmm. There isn't the generational hand down of the knowledge that it originated from to be able to hand it down. So if there is a situation of not knowing, there isn't that carry on knowledge to know.
Yeah.
You're not going to get that from a trust. You're not going to get that from a Autobahn or, a land surveyor.
Yeah.
You're not going to get that. So that's, again, how sustainable are these land trusts really about saving lands, right?
Yeah.
But
it's sort of a stopgap measure that's just become.
But the biggest thing that I am going to just throw out, that I didn't put this in the article, but I'm going to write about it because it's really coming to the forefront again, is Prop 12, right? Prop 19. What's the one that it keeps our same tax bases? Too many numbers in my head. So
It was 12, the water.
Yeah,
one.
Prop 12 is the free range. It's Prop 19.
Oh.
One of those props, right? Prop 19 is for the state of in the state of California, you hand down a property to a child, and it stays within the original tax base that the original owner had, right? We're one of the only states, there's I think one or two other states that have this, right? It is crazy to me right now that to watch in the last 15 to 20 years of the amount of people that have sold their land because financial didn't want to take care of the larger piece of land, couldn't find help, couldn't afford the insurance, couldn't blah, 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 fires.
Yeah.
There's all these things. They've sold their land, but now their children or now somebody of close relations to these people want to go back to that land, right? So remember, the original owners bought that land for $30,000, back in 1950, whatever. They sold it for a couple million. Now to buy it back, a couple more million. Where's the tax bracket at there? How does anybody, no matter if you can get a loan, you think there's some magical grant out there, how are you ever going to farm it, ranch it, or sustain it with the energy costs and everything else that have changed and gone up? You buy that property now at $4 million. How do you afford to
Run it,
build it back, make it a great again, all these sayings that we say, right? But at the same time, how can we do this? Again, we can't afford to let this continue to happen. We can't let it just go and then think it's automatically come back. And it's also the same discussion that I want to continue this one too. All these people that have left California because they hate California, and I don't blame them. It's hard.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I'm getting phone calls that, hey, Mel, if you know any rentals or any land that is, affordable, I'm like, give me something that's an affordable. I'm not a real estate person, but they want to farm with me, right? So, last week I had visitors of people that I met in Madison that, they live in San Diego. They met us in Madison, Wisconsin. They came and hung with us for 3 days. They want to farm. And to talk about land values and to be able to make it cost efficient for them to be able to farm, I think we can do it. Think we can do it. Are you guys hiring? we got a chat message.
Oh, there we go.
Hiring. Crescent Valley Meats is hiring. We're always hiring. Josh, are you hiring?
Who isn't hiring?
Yeah, we're all hiring. Reach out to me. I have your contact too. I'll be able to reach out after the show. But Crescent Valley Meats is hiring. So
Be careful what you wish for.
I know.
We'll put you to work for sure.
Yeah, there's plenty of work for us. But
well, that's what we're saying. We really need people to find ways through, and something's got to give at the top end. And I always feel that really, society and our culture doesn't change from the top down. There's no trickle down economics that really work. It's about how do you build this foundation up and from the ground up. And I think that's where, being able to have people gather and being able to get people together around either these skills or these resources or, our food and all the things that we need. So
skills, you hit it. You cannot, I'm sorry, I'm just going to put it there. You can't be 30 and think that it's going to be, and you've never done this, and that you're going to get out there and move feed bags and hay and shovel. I've been shoveling mud and poop all weekend, or last week. And I'm going to be honest with you, I slipped and fell yesterday down a hill, and I've done it before. But in my 50s, it hurt a lot worse than it did a couple years ago.
Yeah.
Because I haven't gotten this much rain.
Well, that's
right?
why we need help. Yeah, you know?
So I'm just saying, like, I'm saying 30 is getting close. Like, you're getting too old. I'm too old.
Well, if you didn't work hard as a kid, it's not something you're just going to jump on top of, you know?
Produce manager for 13 years, but never seen where it comes from. Just sold it.
Oh, nice.
Oh, dude.
He needs to get out there.
Reach out to me. I would love to get you dirty. You know, honestly, like, I would love for you.
We can show all scales, you know, because I mean, we do food production for whether it's a winery or it's a restaurant or it's a backyard. You know, we have all those different sizes, and
I
then
do it every level.
You get into the next level, you know.
I do it at every.
Where you're at.
You know, we're doing everything from meats to produce to honeys to, and I can show you every. I mean,
all scales.
And if it's not directly working with us, I have others that I could share contacts with. So I will reach out after the show. Give me until tomorrow when I'm back in my office, and I will reach out because 13 years as a produce manager is something that we can't let go either. And that's, again, like,
someone who really knows how to handle and store and make that available. And I was going to say, you know, we need to just kind of rethink. And I think when we talk, you know, we kind of know the whole process and the whole gamut. I mean, I did produce work as well as I was a teenager, and other friends that have their own produce stands.
But
and
I mean, how cool would it be to put somebody like this person in with the farmer that knows how to farm, right?
Yeah.
And this is, again, where I come in, where I have Crescent Valley Meats. I'm dealing with USDA.
Yeah.
And then I come and stand in front of customers. I go out to individuals. I do it all,
there's sales,
right?
there's marketing, there's
But the thing
processing.
is most people can only do one thing, right?
Yeah.
They're the farmer, or they're the seller, or they're the accountant, or they're the, podcaster.
Yeah.
They're not doing it all. And this is where I'm also seeing what is lacking huge is the fact that there isn't right now the ability to stay on the farm and farm, right? There isn't just the ability to stand at a farmer's market and just sell at farmer's market, right? You have to be able to do a little bit of it all.
Yeah.
Because if not, you have to have the financial strength
to hire
enough people to be able to do it.
Yeah.
But the structure in which simply doing this, if you can keep the big costs down, land values, insurance, all of that down, you still have to have it.
Travel and
But
fuel,
if you can keep that down, there is a possibility of being able to financially be able to do it, a little bit of this, a little bit of that. And I'll be honest with you, I always thought I had, a disorder of ADD or something like that, because I'm like, I've always been able to jump. Okay, well, that season's over, done. But at the same time, what I'm noticing what it is I realized years ago, I couldn't keep going if I was only doing one thing.
Yeah.
It was every door opens, every door closes.
Yeah.
And you need to keep it revolving in order to keep it going.
Yeah. No, that's 100%. And I think that, just to kind of give some breadth or depth to this whole conversation, what can everyone or anyone do, in this process? Where do you start? And like we said, it's not like, start growing all your own food and doing that. We do need grocery stores. We need these chains and places for people to be able to get access to the food and people to warehouse it and store it and shell it. But if everyone could change some of their practices starting now, if it's like, hey, I don't want to put these things into my body, that now have these new ingredients and all these things like we talked about, how do we start to form, some clubs together of, processing more of our own food? Whether I'm going to do this at home, I'm going to make bread, or I'm going to make tortillas, or I'm going to grow some of my own. My kids gave me a pickling kit for the holidays, so now we can kind of do more processing, of foods. And so you're doing value added to those foods. So if you're getting those foods at home and more raw ingredients, now if you can say, my next step is we're going to start fermenting more of our own, hot sauces or vegetables or,
I'm just
whatever.
Read this out to people that might be listening and not hearing. And our person that is messaging in, I can't tell you how much I feel exactly the same way that you are expressing in your words. Processed food is killing us. It is so sad the hurdles you have to jump through just to provide good, clean food. And remember this, my friend. It's not about this in your home or wherever you live, right? Government hasn't infiltrated our home yet, or the consumer, advocacies to put folic acid into tortillas, right? They haven't infiltrated our home. And you are right, though. It is awful to see the hurdles that we have to go through as business owners to be able to do this legitimately. Meaning, you've got to remember, if you're doing this out of your home and you're selling it, it is illegal. Whether you can argue with me all you want. I'm sorry. I've had every investigator, I've had every regulator come through my system because I promote it and because I'm transparent in the way that I farm. And I don't want anything to be hidden in what I do, right? I don't have anything to hide. I want people to learn this.
Yeah, you want
I
everyone to see all the
people
parts
to understand.
of the process.
But because I promote it simply, it opens that door up for people to think that I'm doing it in a backyard or I'm doing it in my home. Don't have a licensed kitchen. Every bit of revenue that I have made or have earned, I put it right back into my infrastructure. Right? If you got no tax code, that's the way you save money on taxes. But like this is what I've done, and this is the only reason why I can still do this. I'm sad because there's not very many people that can say that anymore, and I don't want to be the only one. It's not. Yes, okay. So what? I might make a little extra. It's not like we're making big money. Right? I want to see healthy people.
Yeah.
It's not the fact, I don't want to see billionaires, 1 or 2 billionaires. I want us all to have thousands of opportunities and resources that we can all share. I'm not knocking a billionaire because if somebody or some system has made that fortune, honestly, ethically, and transparently, what am I going to, I don't have anything to say with that.
Yeah.
And so.
Well, it's just that gap, again, that's there between rich and poor that's the biggest problem. And so, some people holding and putting their money through things and not, doing it in those ethical ways, then it takes both ends. Whoever's not, if you're doing it at a small scale or doing it at a big scale, really you're taking from the whole. And how do we get people to put more back into the whole because they care about their family and their neighbor's family, their community as a whole? I think that's where we really need to be looking at. How do we do things together that will change the cost of our, food
System.
sources, or work with regulation.
How do you drive down the cost of things? You either don't use it so it builds up, or you change the way you support it so that cost will go down. And that's the thing. We talked about this in our little gathering on, was it Friday? I don't even know what today is, why do we put regulation on systems that we can't touch anyways, right?
Yeah.
When we put regulations on things, it actually affects you and I directly. So when the state passes these regulations, it is you and I that's going to have to pay or deal with that regulation. Amazons and all these other things are not going to have to deal with that regulation.
Yeah.
But if you don't like something, stop supporting it.
Yep.
Watch the regulation, the natural regulation.
Yeah, that's
of
what we're saying.
doing
We
it.
really
Yeah.
have to put where we want our money together, to go. And that's the power that we have as the masses and, in the general pop. So.
Yep. Well,
Yeah.
I'm gonna share this last quote with him with whoever I'm chatting with. I'm a local and I take my daughters to the farmers market once a week. Once you stop, there's no one to take your place, and that is sad. It is just too hard. My wife had a ranch that grew produce, and none of the grandkids wanted to continue, so they sold the land. Again, it's the ongoing story, my friend, and at the same time, it's a societal thing, it's a community thing, and all of us weigh the burden of this because of the change. There's a local property right now that's got tractors on it getting ready for development that used to grow hay on it. So there's, it's happening all around us, and the way we spend our money and the way that we live and knowing where our food comes from is the biggest political act. And it's actually everything you put at the end of your fork or wrap it in your tortilla is the biggest political act you can do every day.
Yeah, where you're getting that from.
And make sure your tortillas are made at home so you don't get exposed to the crap that they're now forcing us to
Let's
eat.
support each other and find those ways. I think we really want to open those avenues up here. It's really nice that we can kind of have some conversation, with some of our listeners. And we just look forward to, finding out what people need to do that. What do you need? What's in your way? What's causing you, issues to, getting towards better sourcing?
One promotion. Nature's Touch Nursery and Harvest is back in the kitchen. We are Nature's Food. So every Monday, every Wednesday, We are preparing fresh food. Everything is going to be made that day with whatever's in season, whatever's available at Nature's Touch. It'll be made Wednesday. We're open now on
Grab-and-go
Mondays.
stuff.
Yeah, Mondays and Wednesdays. It'll be made on Monday and Wednesdays. We're back open Mondays from 11 to 4 so that we can do all of this. What doesn't sell within the 2 days in the refrigerator goes in the freezer at 50% off.
That's awesome,
So
too.
we are trying to make it reasonable for
Yeah,
the convenience
love that.
as well as the budget if you need it. Throw out suggestions if you want us to bring. Yes, you guys, I'm making 3 bean salad. Yes, we're gonna make kale ginger salad. So because I've been eating
Soups, I saw you had in there in the
we have
freezer.
our taco soup today. We have carrot ginger. Guess what? We made homemade tortillas today.
Ooh,
So just
baby.
know, that's, also coming out of our commercial kitchen. Come and visit us at Nature's Touch. I'll be here tomorrow. We're open from 10 to 5:30. Raw dog food, meats, produce, honey, all of that. We got it.
Yeah.
And remember, those places, Nature's Touch Nursery and Harvest, Creston Valley Meats, Carmichael Environmental,
If you want
are
to build
what-
a garden, we'll help you.
are what are keeping Nature's Neighbor going. So come out and support. Also, you see I got apparel on. Go buy apparel on our
get some
naturesneighbor.net shirt. Keep us going, guys. We really appreciate all the love and support. And looking forward to next Monday.
Yeah. Happy New Year.
Yep, we'll keep this going. Take care.
Cheers.